Akaroa Wairewa Community Board. I understand that you have a video for
Well,
us.
yes, it's just a small clip that will continue rolling over while I'm just talking about a few things on our report here. Flooding too comes through for Banks Peninsula, and over the beginning of March, we had rather a severe event that was a wahine outcome for some of the catchments in Banks Peninsula. Now, this is just a small clip there of going through Little River. The whole of the Little River township, from the left-hand side of the valley to the right-hand side, was totally awash with water. And you can see what it's like there. It was a huge amount of rain, very intense. This is about the third event that we've had in the last 2 years. There are people that are not getting insurance payouts. There's a whole lot of issues around it. We are having a workshop on the 1st of May, hopefully, that will bring everybody together. We had one on the 23rd of February last year in 2013. We're another one. There are a lot of issues around the flooding in Little River. We need to be working with Environment Canterbury to resolve it because it is a large catchment. That has large runoff from the hills, and there needs to be some work around stream work, and improving the waterways and things around there. So we have a number of issues, but I just sort of thought, well, I'll give you a little bit. Ours is not because of earthquake, but it's because of the catchment, a large catchment, and rainfalls that are occurring. There are a number of people that lost bridges. And we, in our particular catchment, in the Holmes Bay catchment, yes, there was a council bridge that's gone, and we're having, we've got culverts that we cover to go through the streams and things. So it was a severe event. So I just was making sure that you actually had a little bit of a feeling about Banks Peninsula, and that
how many floor levels were breached?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. We will hear about that in our meeting that we have on the 1st of May.
Okay.
This is behind the shops, and then you'll see a shot shortly that goes over from the other side of the valley and how that whole catchment was particularly affected from one side to the other. Anyway, I want to move on from that flooding effort. We have had another one in Akaroa, and we've had a flood meeting, a seminar on it to resolve some of the flooding issues in Akaroa. They have quite severe flooding too, also at the first entrance to the town, and we're hoping to work together. There we are. You look across there. That's from the service station right to the other side of the hill there. You see, it's a mass of water. So there are a huge number of flooding issues for Banks Peninsula, and we need to be working through those. We need to be seeing that housekeeping things are kept up to order, like the culverts and the drains cleaned, the new culverts replaced, and things to deal with it. Climate change is here, and we need to deal with it.
Is that
so just moving on from that, the community is getting itself back again. It is the end of the cruise ship season. We've got one more ship at the end of the month. And the community sort of says to itself, we've got our town back again. We have had wonderful support from the City Council over the time with traffic management plans. We also had this flood which affected the wharf, and there's been a huge number of issues that we've had to work through during the time. I just wanted to talk about the number of workshops that we have. We've got a cruise ship workshop, we've got a signage workshop with the community, we've got a freedom camping workshop that's coming up, we've got an Akaroa Civic Trust workshop that's working with the City Council. And all of these projects, we have council staff working alongside us. And really, it's a big thanks to the City Council and the staff that work with us to resolve a number of the issues. So we do thank the City Council for their support in all of the work that we're doing. So I just wanted to also a little bit more about Little River on page 192. And we have Mac Birch, the gentleman that came and spoke to the board. This was before the floods, and he's passionate about this issue, but Little River has had a huge number of reports done on it over the years, and I suppose we're concerned that a lot of them get lost and left, and so that we're looking at pulling together a scoping exercise for the future development of the settlement of Little River. We've been able to find some funding, or the Strengthened Communities have been able to find some funding for us. It's just a small study that will be done on Little River to bringing all those together to look at what the next step might be for a suburban study of some sort moving forward. So, I mean, all of these things are about resilience, Leanne, coming from the community wanting to do things and move ahead. So there's just a little bit of a glimpse of, there are a whole lot of things I could talk about. The access way down at Birdling's Flat and all the things that are happening at Birdling's Flat. It'd be lovely to be able to share them with you all, but time doesn't allow me to.
Well, I'm hoping that we'll get an opportunity to come and have a proper tour of that part of the electorate as a council. Raf? Yeah.
Yeah, hi Pam. So in terms of, obviously this is called Little River, so obviously there's a river that's been there, and there's been a settlement that's been there for a long time.
Yes.
You mentioned climate change, and obviously it looks like a big river at the moment. In those considerations, has any thought been given to the fact that the actual settlement may be in the wrong place?
Well, it would be a huge effort to actually shift it. Where would you shift it to? There are a huge number of issues around Little River. It was built at a railhead in those early days when there was a railway line that went out there, and that was the reason it was there, because it was sort of a feeder into all the Banks Peninsula, and then it went out that way. It is growing, and that's one of the reasons why I suppose we're pulling together this little scoping study to look at it. Interesting, on this flood also affected Cooptown, which is higher up from Little River, but it was affected by the flooding. But maybe it may be a more protected area if there was some river works that was done to keep the flooding away from the Cooptown area, where there is opportunity for subdivision and things. But yes, it is a good question.
Okay, thanks.
Glenn?
Thank you. Thanks, Pam. Just under 5.1 in regard to freedom camping, have you been able to differentiate with that issue there between those who are freedom camping and those who don't have other options and appear to be sleeping there?
That workshop we haven't had that workshop yet, so we're just working through it now. Kay Holder has approached me yesterday, and that is just underway. It is going to be a difficult issue to resolve because there's only one camping ground, and there's no other area that's available for it. So we will find a solution that for our community.
And you don't know yet whether it's wholly, freedom camping or...
No, I wouldn't like to answer it. No.
Andrew, then Tim.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Pam, for detailing the Little River flooding situation and for showing us the video. Certainly good to see those images at the same time as your explanation. I just wanted to make the additional point that, of course, that road that runs through the middle of Little River that we saw on the video is, in fact, the road that connects the rest of the peninsula to the rest of the country. So when that road's underwater, it means that the rest of isolated. Yeah, certainly expresses some of the importance of getting that fixed. But we do have that workshop coming up, which will address some of those issues, and the planning for the wider issues around Little River hopefully will take into account some of the things that can be done to alleviate some of that flooding as well.
So, yeah, we need to have some adverse events planning in place. There is a lot of confusion about when the road's open or closed and things, but that will be dealt through that workshop as well.
Great. Tim?
I guess through that workshop, because you mentioned that Little River is growing, and I just can't remember seeing it, and I must admit I didn't really take much notice with regards to the flood risk areas. I was more looking at our ward rather than others, with regards to new building consents, etc., because that's fairly significant.
Yeah, they are included in the plan, but I can't comment on what they are, but I know there are flood levels in the plan to deal with Little River.
Okay, so I guess it's relating with those meetings that you're having, and presumably there'll be council staff involved with those, that we really make that aware with building consents, what the risk, flood risk areas are in Little River and Akaroa as well.
Peter Kingsbury attended our Akaroa workshop. He is very good at summarising what the steps are for how to resolve some of the issues about mitigation and planning and a whole range of things, and natural responsibility in it. So the Christchurch City Council, Peter Kingsbury, is very good at doing that, and I'm sure he will be at our meeting. And there is some responsibility on communities and individuals themselves to deal with this.
Yep. So moved by Andrew Turner, seconded by Tim Scandrett. I'll put the motion All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Thank you very much, Pam. That's carried. The report of the Burwood Pegasus Community Board, and I'm going to assume that Glenn